State lawmakers are likely to consider a right-to-work bill after the first of the year.
The bill affecting union membership has been passed in other states. Political reporter Jessica Arp explains what it would do.
Well, Republican State Representative Chris Kapenga says he will introduce a right-to-work bill in the next session. Assembly and Senate leaders have said they're encouraging of that conversation. The governor has said the bill would be a distraction. All similar events that have happened in other Midwest states. In December 2012, battle lines had formed in Michigan between unions and Republican lawmakers over right-to-work legislation. The law prohibits company contracts requiring union membership or dues paying. Supporters said it would bring in business. Unions said it would drive down wages.
Can you live on $10 an hour?
Prior to a vote on the measure, Michigan Governor Rick Snyder said right to work was not a top priority.
So I'm not happy about being in this situation, but given it's here, I'm going to do what I believe is best for the citizens of Michigan, my customers.
Ultimately, he signed the law hours after its passage in the legislature.
It's about giving workers choice. This is being pro-worker.
This only months after Indiana had passed a similar law facing similar protests.
Right to work was a very important achievement. We've already signed new agreements with 3 companies.
UW history professor William Powell Jones says efforts in Indiana and Michigan and now Wisconsin are part of a recent push.
Now we're at a point where unions represent less than 10% of private sector workers. And that puts the opponents of unions in a position to push for even harder for laws. I think particularly in states like Wisconsin or Michigan, that have traditionally had very strong union movements.
He says right to work isn't exactly like Act 10, which sparked protests in Wisconsin among public employees.
It does not prohibit collective bargaining or even really restrict the terms of bargaining. It just restricts the terms of a contract.
And as of last week, the governor says he's discouraging the issue.
My position is right now, I think for the attention it would draw in the state, just like a reopening Act 10, it would be a distraction. And so I've asked them publicly and privately not to pursue that.
Now, I'm told lawmakers who are looking at the legislation are looking at models from Michigan and Indiana, but also other states, many of whom passed their laws in the 1940s and 50s. Any law, though, could not be formally introduced until after the first of the year when the legislative session begins.
All right, to be continued then. Thanks, Jess.